Kirsty, I don't know about you, but I've often said I think I'm a bit of a water baby. I quite enjoy this.
I think I'm the same, and it's very tranquil with the sound of the stream. Hello and welcome to Beechgrove.
So here we are in the pond. It's an annual problem that we have, and it's mainly to do with this algae, which is, well, it's almost like hair.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Blanket weed, and it really blooms at this time of year. I'm using a rake, a plastic one, because I think that's better. You won't actually pierce the pond liner.
And it just spreads in amongst all the water lily, and I'm trying to use a net here to get rid of the duckweed. It's very fine. It can even go on birds' feathers and spread between ponds, so a bit of a nightmare to get rid of.
So obviously manually we can remove it, but there's other ways that you can try and control it. You can use barley straw, or you can use those like friendly algicides.
But of course the important thing is you can use plants that oxygenate your pond, and that's the best bit. And obviously what we're scooping out here, we're just putting into trays at the side, probably leave them for about 24 hours to allow any wildlife to come back into the pond.
I know I already scooped up a newt, but I actually saw it swim out, which is brilliant.
Oh, wonderful. So later on in the programme we're going to be in the pond doing a bit of planting, and then we're going to be looking at the hot border I designed.
We're also going to be looking into chimney pots, toolboxes, wicker baskets. Yes, it's all about our quirky containers that we planted up a couple of months ago.
And today in my family back garden in Leven, I'm showing you that you don't need a lot of space to grow for the shows.
And today at the allotment, I'm going to be dealing with some pesky pests, looking at some companion planting, and planting dahlias and sweet corn. Lots to do.
Well, here we are back at our quirky containers. And Kirsty, all these containers were found in salvage yards. I went to charity shops, and, you know, I think it's looking lovely, isn't it?
And it's amazing what we've packed in here, and it looks really good. What we did was we put in drainage holes and lined it with a bit of cardboard. And what kind of compost did we put in?
So the compost is a peat-free compost, and it's the winner from last year with the Tatty competition, based on wood fibre. We've added some fertiliser as well, and I have to say, I think the veg here looks really, really good, very healthy. So when it comes to the cropping, straight away, I'm on at the spinach here, and that is a variety, it's an oriental spinach called Mikado, powdery mildew resistant, and also quite resistant to bolting. Looks good.
Everything you want.
But I have to say, the radish, is that not amazing?
Look at the colour of that.
I'm going to crop another one.
That's quite an unusual variety, so it's quite long.
Yes, well, these are the French breakfast types, so they're the long ones. This variety is Felicia. A new colour, really, in French breakfast. Almost like sort of purplish, isn't it?
That would look really vibrant and lovely on a plate.
I'd like to have a taste of that one. I'll have to give it a wash.
And I noticed you've got like a lovely container down here, but just packed with different types of salad.
Yeah, a lovely mix called Gourmet Global Mix. But what's interesting is it comes as a little pellet. So within that pellet, you've got several seeds. That makes it really easy to sow, because you only need maybe half a dozen of those in that one container.
Another salad crop is Celtis here, which is an unusual sort of lettuce variety.
Yeah, what does it taste like?
A bit bitter, but quite succulent. I would enjoy
that's
that.
Nice. Now, do you like coriander?
Only like a little bit, not too much, but are you a big fan?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And this one's called Slow Bolt. So again, that's resistant to bolting. And if you keep harvesting, then it won't go to seed. So let's add that as well.
And we've got lots of edible flowers as well, but they'll be coming on later. But down here we've got some pak choy. And this is an unusual one, Shun Li Choi, which is a small variety.
Yes, it's one of the smallest varieties that you can get, and I think it's absolutely brilliant because you can use the baby leaves, or you can use it whole, and you can use it in stir fries. Wonderful. Well, we'll have to come back and have a look at the flowers and some of the other crops. But now it's over to Callum. He's not in his allotment this time, he's actually in his own garden. And he's showing us, even in a small garden, you can grow to exhibition standard.
Hello and welcome to my family's back garden here in Leven. Yes, I'm not at the allotment today, but I want to show you that you don't need an allotment or a lot of space to be grown for the shows. So the first show schedule came in the post the other day, and in here is telling you what sort of things you can enter the show, how many you need, and most importantly, the rules and regulations. And one of the rules and regulations is pot plants can't exceed 10 inches. Now that's quite a small pot, and we're wanting big specimens, fuchsias or geraniums or begonias. Well, I'm going to show you how to bend the rules slightly for your advantage. what we're going to do is fill up the pot with some compost, and then we're going to get a fuchsia that we're potting up, and the variety is Beacon. We're just going to knock that out the pot. Very important that we keep the label, because the judge will want to know what variety it is come show time. Tease the roots, we'll make our hole, and then just plant the fuchsia. So there we go, quite simple. That's that part done. How I want to bend the rules slightly is we're going to get another pot, we're going to fill that up, and then I'm going to get a pot, sit that on top of that. There you go, that's going to give us more growing space, a bigger root system, which is hopefully going to give us a better plant. Well, just before you go to the show, rip the top pot off, and there you go. The judge is none the wiser. If you're wanting to grow sweet peas for the show, or even just cut flowers for your house, here is the best way of doing that. So, I planted these out as the clump, so as of course you plant one seed, let it grow, we nip the top out, and then we let it bush out, and then we get sort of 3 stems coming up. What I want to do is just decide one stem to let grow. I like to plant them out and then cut it away. I don't just want to plant it out with a single stem. More chance of survival doing it this way. And then I get to pick the best one. So I'm going to keep this one. So that one's coming out. Then so's that one. And then all that's left to do is take this one, tie this in. And then remember, because we're tying them in, the wee tendrils, they're coming out as well. There you have it. We're on the road to getting bigger flowers, longer stems. A lot of people believe that you need a lot of ground to be grown for showing. I'm going to prove to you that you don't. We're growing chrysanthemums in grow bags inside a small greenhouse. And do you want to know if it works? Well, last year we won the Scottish Championships. So, how did you do it? Well, first of all, the grow bag, these have been sitting on pallets so they're nice and compact. We don't want that. What we need to do is we need to break that up and let air into the bag. So just bash it about, let the air back into the soil, flip it, and then I'm going to put some holes for drainage in the bottom. Flip that back over, level it out again. Then for the pot, what I'm using is a recycled flower bucket, and you could just get these for your local supermarket. Then what we want to do is cut a hole out of the bottom of the flower pot. I like to come in about 1 inch, just so the pot keeps its structure, so it's not all flimsy. And we're not going to see this, so it doesn't need to be perfect. There we go, hole in the bottom. We're going to put 2 pots on this grow bag, and then just cut round the bottom. Just like that. There we go. Get our pot, shimmy that in. Then I'm going to add in to the bottom of that some bloodfish and bone. And it's just a case of filling this pot up with compost. Wee bit more fish blood and bone, because I want to make these prize winners, so got to treat them like it. Then onto the chrysant. So these are big-headed chrysants. The variety is Billy Bell, and these have been grown for cuttings. Just knock this out the pot. Look at the roots on that, just perfect time to be potting these up. Tease the roots, plonk that in, backfill it with compost. It's that simple. So 1 down, I don't know, about 15 to go. Well, I hope I've shown you that you don't need a giant garden to grow giant produce.
So we'll find out about those plants that Callum's growing later on in the series. So here I am on the edge of the pond admiring this lovely iris here. It's a variety called Mottled Beauty. It's almost finished flowering, and what I thought I'd do is a perfect time to try and do a little bit of dividing, and we'll add it to another pond in the garden. So, it's a pretty messy job, but I've got the perfect piece there, and I'm now going to go and find Kirsty. Kirsty, another nice job with water, because we're going to restock it with some interesting plants.
Yeah, and I've just added this water lily Zafé, which has a lovely pink flower, and it's going to get to about 45 centimetres spread.
So quite a small one.
Yeah, and then I've been adding bricks where it's a bit deeper to put this next one in called Aurea, and that we want the water lily to really sit on the surface.
Yeah, well, they're deep water plants, aren't they? But when you buy them and they're quite small, you have to start it almost like a marginal, and then as it starts to grow, you can take the brick away, can't you? Add some oxygenators as well.
So a little ranunculus here that's going to have nice white flowers, be really good for pollinators too. So we're going
to they look like buttercup flowers.
Add that in over here.
And then another oxygenator, the hornwort.
Yeah, and this one doesn't have any sort of roots or anything, it just sort of floats around in the water.
It's easy, isn't it? Easy plant, you're just going to throw it in.
I'm going to throw it in. So here we go, adding some oxygen to the pond.
And, well, I brought over a nice iris, so we're going to still do a little bit of planting. And, you know, the important thing about the soil that you use, I would actually say it's best that you do get some aquatic compost.
And then what I'm going to do is just add a bit of gravel onto the top of the compost. And that just sort of weighs it down, doesn't it?
Well, yes, because it weighs it down. If you have fish or you've got other things like newts, you won't get any disturbance. And again, it stops the soil making a mess of the pond, doesn't it?
There are these fertiliser balls that you can add into them.
Yeah, so in fact I think I'm going to put some in before I put the gravel on. It'll be a bit easier.
I'm going to do a different method and just push them into the surface of the pot. And
yeah.
These are important for water lilies because they're really hungry plants, so to feed them in spring and summer. So we just will nestle them on the edge, but I just love the leaf on that one.
I think it's beautiful, isn't it? Now I think I can find a shelf here, hopefully. And you know the other nice thing is, I don't know if you remember, but I had to patch this up because we had a leak in this
pond. Yeah.
And it's worked, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it looks great, and it's great for attracting newts and wildlife into this space.
Absolutely brilliant. So now it's over to George. He's in his allotment, and according to George, it's always sunny in Joppa.
Well, we're back at the allotment here in sunny Joppa today, and I have to say it's been incredibly dry. Over the last 2-3 weeks, we've hardly had a spit of rain. So the top of the soil, if you look at it, is completely dry. I mean, I can scuff that there, and there's very little moisture. If I go underneath though, see, still moist underneath. And the reason is because you keep hoeing the surface and you break the little capillary tubes that bring the water to the surface. So that's the idea there. So there we are. There's 1 or 2 weeds, and the best time I was told to kill weeds is when you can't see them, when the seedlings are just coming through the soil. So that's when a hoe is ideal, either an onion hoe like this or the conventional Dutch hoe. Right, so there we have it. That's these weeds killed. Right, I'm going to do some thinning up here. I promised you some companion planting. So here we are. We've got carrots, we've got onions, and we've got marigolds in there. And the scent of the marigolds, you know that it's quite strong. So what happens here is that with this companion planting, the marigold smell or scent and the onion scent should disguise the scent of the carrots. And that means that the carrot fly, when it's going around, is a bit confused. It can't smell the carrots, which it really wants to smell, and it will go elsewhere. I've come up to the top of the allotment because this is the area last year where I had pumpkins growing. And the soil was fed with lots of my own compost and it's still quite rich. And this is the area where I want to plant my dahlia tubers. Now, these dahlia tubers are sitting in that box there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant these out now. And I'll put one at each of those posts and we'll see how we get on. But first, I've got to feed the soil. And I've got some chicken manure pellets which I'm going to put on there as well. And mix it in so that you can hardly see it. And if you can hardly see it, it means that it's not going to burn the roots. And that's quite important. Look at that, eh? Look at that. There's a good plant. I'll save this one here. This is a variety Llewellyn Kiwi. There's the tuber. There's the old tuber there. And there's the young shoots coming away from where the stem joins the tuber. So the idea is that I'm going to plant this in here so that the base of these stems is covered by about 1 inch, 2 inches of soil. So there you go. That will get covered up. Just firm it in. Well, there's the sweet corn plants. Now, these were plants which I bought online. They arrived in their packaging about 2 weeks ago. I potted them up into old yoghurt pots and now it's time to plant them. There's the variety. It's one which I grew last year and it was quite successful when I could get to it before the rats did. So there we are, set them out. Right, so simple really, just get them in the ground, get them planted. There we are, another good day's work at the allotment. And you know, we should have some sweet corn by the end of August. That is, if the rats don't get to it first.
So you might remember between the stream and the calendar border, I designed and planted a hot border, which was using herbaceous perennials that will come back year after year and be a riot of colour, so yellows, reds and oranges. But we're already starting to see some colour from this Geum Totally Tangerine down the bottom. We've got a lily, Martigan lily, about to come out. As these perennials will take 2 to 3 years to establish and really get into their groove, we've got some annuals this year to provide a pop of colour. So first off, I've got a dahlia, which I'm positioning at the back for structure, and it's going to be taller. So this variety is called Josie, and it's going to be a lovely tango orange and really healthy, just a single tuber, and we're going to put that in the ground and just gently firm the soil around it. And then along the front, I've got some red marigolds, and this is red cherry. So they are nice and small so they can fill the gaps at the front of the border. So again, just gently put the soil around it and that'll be a lovely vibrant pop of colour. And then I've got a bit of a gap in between the crocosmia and the hemerocallis, so I've got this calendula porcupine yellow and that'll be a burst of yellow in there. And then along the front here, I've got some Tosmos tango, and it's best to sort of plant in 3s or 5s like we did previously, and that will block the colour together for maximum impact. So I'm just going to spread them around, and then the important thing is to remember to water them in as it's in the summer months and we want them to establish quickly. So hopefully next time I'm at Beechgrove, this border will be a real riot of colour. Now, we've been visiting gardeners from across Scotland who are experimenting in their own growing space, and this week it is time for Deborah Patterson, who has a small but productive garden in Aberdeen.
So I've lived in this house for I think nearly 8 years now, and I've been in the garden doing things for about 5. So in here I've got my greenhouse where I grow chilies, peppers, tomatoes of course, cucumbers, and sweet corn. I can't get sweet corn to grow outside. Here I've got my raised beds. They've been in for 5 years And a year after that, that's when we got the greenhouse. So although I've got a little bit more experience with the raised beds, it's still very much experimental. And down this wall is the sunniest part of our garden, and that's where I've got all the apple trees growing, the pear trees and brambles. If you look down here is the newest planters in our garden. So they were built specifically for flowers, although I have commandeered them for growing pumpkins instead because I think it'll just look a little bit nicer in the layout. This year I'm turning half my lawn into a wildflower area for birds and bees. I want to remove as much of the grass and moss from the area before I put the wildflower seed down, because if I don't, the grass will probably choke out the wildflowers before they actually get growing. Just really looking forward to hopefully encouraging more bees and bugs and butterflies. I feel like I see so few butterflies now in the garden. I think it'd be really nice to have like an area just specially dedicated to them. So now the worst of the moss is cleared from the area, I'm going to pop down some compost, spread it around. This is just really an experiment to see if wildflowers actually can grow from just raking and shaking. So now we've spread the compost out, I'm going to mark out my different sections with some string. Now for the fun bit, actually getting to plant the wildflower seeds. So I've got a selection because this is a bit of an experiment. I've got some more slightly expensive seeds and a couple of boxes of cheaper seeds. What actually will grow better, if at all? And is it worth spending the extra money on more expensive seeds? I'm going to use the slightly more expensive seeds in the middle, and I'm going to spread one of these boxes either sides so we can clearly see the difference, if any. Now we've raked, we will shake. Whew. So satisfying. I've got this lovely piece of nature. It's lovely and tranquil, and lovely to share it with friends at the weekends, especially when we're sat in the fire with a beer and we can enjoy all this hard work. Oh, are you helping or are you, pal? I'll just give it a light watering in now and just make sure I keep it well watered over the next couple of weeks. And then hopefully it won't be long until we see some seedlings and then some flowers. These are the pumpkins I've grown from food waste, from seeds I saved from pumpkins last year. I'll tap that out. Lovely root system on there. Pop it into the bed. I've packed these seedlings really quite close together because I fully expect to lose some. But what I will do is if they all survive, I will just pull out the weakest and let the stronger plants grow on. And it's nice to have a vegetable ready for autumn. Quite a few of my neighbours have got cats, and one thing I find quite frustrating is the cat poo in my raised beds. So one of the things I find the most helpful to deter them from using my raised beds as a toilet area is bamboo. So all I do is just scatter over the bamboo over my raised beds, and for some reason it deters them from using this area as a toilet. So my seeds are a lot happier, and so am I. So this avocado, I planted from food waste 2 years ago, put it in the greenhouse on a heat mat through winter, and it's grown brilliantly. The plan for this avocado is to plant it into the ground in the greenhouse in the hopes that next winter that will help it survive our cold and frosty nights and days. So try and gently tap the avocado out of there. Oh wow, look at all those roots. So I'm just going to loosen off some of those roots. And then fill in around the edges with some extra compost. I think it's amazing how much food can be reproduced by food we already have and eat. Yeah, as long as I don't kick it over or snap it, hopefully we should be okay.
And we'll be back to see Deborah's garden in a few weeks' time, and especially to find out how those wildflowers are doing. But for my handy hint, I want to suggest that if you don't have a greenhouse and just a windowsill, consider growing this variety of tomato. It's called Siam. It's very compact. Because it's a bush variety, you don't have to take out the side shoots. And look already, all those tomatoes are forming.
So this goes to show that you don't need a big pond to have one in your garden. This is a small container one that I made a few years ago, and I've just been refreshing it today. This is Anagallis, a nice new plant that grows in shallow water. We have an iris, a miniature equisetum, and then a lovely small petite water lily which is just about to flower.
The taxoy which I planted earlier on in the series is now, well, it's shot its bolt, it's now running to seed and there's not very much on its leaf. So I'm going to lift this, just pull it out. But, oh, look at this. See what we've got here. There are swollen roots. Now remember, this is a brassica. This is the same family as the cabbage. So what have we got there? Club roots. What do you do? Don't all of this. Take a pair of secateurs and cut it off there. Right? Cut it off above where the infection is. That then goes out to the burned. And the other stuff, the top greenery, you can put that in.
This goes to show that you don't need a big pond to have one in your garden. This is a small container one that I made a few years ago, and I've just been refreshing it today. This is Anagallis, a nice new plant that grows in shallow water. We have an iris, a miniature equisetum, and then a lovely small petite water lily which is just about to flower.
The taxoy which I planted earlier on in the series has now, well, it's shot its bolt. It's now running to seed and there's not very much on it to eat. So I'm going to lift this, just pull it out. There we go. But, oh, look at this. See what we've got here. There are swollen roots. Now remember, this is a brassica. This is the same family as the cabbage. So what have we got there? We've got clubroot. What do? Don't put all of this on the compost heap. What you have to do is take a pair of secateurs and cut it off there, right? Cut it off above where the infection is. That then goes out to be burned. And the other stuff, the top greenery, you can put that on the compost heap.
Kirsty, we've certainly had a bit of a watery theme on this programme, haven't we? And we're finishing off in the bog garden. And you know, I think this has been looking absolutely stunning for quite a few weeks now.
It's a real burst of colour, isn't it? And I'm loving this lemon iris on the water edge. And I notice even a tiny orchid is down here, a dactylorhiza.
You'd almost miss it, but it's a beautiful plant. And then right next to it, you've got the candelabra primula. And look at these cheerful trollias, such a bright yellow.
Yeah, very cheerful, and I love this regerzia with a nice structure. But I hear you and Brian have got a challenge next week then?
Yes, a bit of a challenge. In fact, we're asking you, send in some of your gardening questions, and Brian and myself will certainly try and answer one or two of them.
We'll also be doing a feature on houseplant propagation and cultivation. And remember, if you've seen anything on the series, you can watch it all again on BBC iPlayer. Just search for Beechgrove.
So that's just about it, Kirsty.
I think so. So see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Mark and Ewan have some great stories from the great outdoors. Listen now to Scotland Outdoors on BBC Sounds.